Let's be real, this has been a phenomenal year for horror movies. I'm talking one of the greatest years the genre has ever seen. From a villain with a wacky appearance to a one-night stand that doesn't go expected, all the way to body horror getting some theatrical recognition. There's a little something for everyone, especially if you love performances, because boy howdy. So join us here at the horror side of Joblo as we take a look at the best horror films of 2024. Before we get into our list, we need to make sure it's clear. Spoiler alert. The whole point of this is to gush about why we love these films, so we're gonna talk about twists and turns. You've been warned. Now, only 10 spots in a year such as this means some difficult choices had to be made. Each of these could have easily made it onto our lists and speaks more to what a great year it was overall that they had to be relegated elsewhere. So here are some of our honorable mentions. And while Nosferatu is undoubtedly great, releasing it just 1 week prior to the end of the year means that it's being left off. Sorry, I'm sure it'll be a top 5 film. Now let's get into it.
It's trippy, huh?
Body swapping often denotes a playfulness, yet It's What's Inside takes a decidedly more horrific approach and shows us all that can go wrong when in the midst of a switch. Expertly crafted by Greg Jardine, things go absolutely insane when members of the group die during a swap. They must contend with what their identity actually means and will be forever changed. Each of these characters feels unique and different, and color the film an interesting shade in this ever-evolving tapestry of the story. Netflix did very well with this one. It's been decades since we've gotten a good spider movie. Hell, I'd say since Arachnophobia. So this film came in like a French nightmare, giving us the creepy crawlies and managing to give us some killer visuals. This is the least seen on the list, so let's talk about the plot a little. The film follows Caleb, who has a passion for exotic animals, but when he comes home with an unusual spider, he changes the course of his life as well as those in his apartment building. Placed under quarantine, the residents must contend with the breeding spiders, who are becoming larger and larger. Plenty of people die, and we get more than enough moments to make your skin crawl. Cannot wait to see what this director gets up to with Evil Dead Burn. After decades of shit alien films, Fede Alvarez came in and showed everyone how it's done with Alien Romulus. Practical ships, interesting characters, and the perfect blend of what made the first 2 films so special. Sure, there are some flaws. Damn it, not the goo again! But this manages to capture that weird corporate Geiger energy that makes the franchise what it is. Creating memorable characters is hard, yet Rain and Andy feel so fully realized and lived in that it's hard not to root for them. And poor Kay gets put through the ringer.
Well, if that's right, then there'd have to be another way into this basement, huh? Should we have a look?
Hugh Grant giving monologues about life is enough to get my butt in a theater seat, but then add a horror angle and I'm all on board. Grant gives such a terrifying performance as Mr. Reed, a man who waxes philosophical and thinks he's 10 steps ahead at all times. Then there's Sophie Thatcher and Chloe East, who match up with him performance-wise and go down a journey of terror. This is one that will have you yelling at your screen, "Don't go in the house!" Rarely does the third entry in a series manage to be the best, but I'd give that honor to Terrifier 3. taking the Christmas theme and proving that you can be a Christmas movie while still being a true sequel, because the holiday is mostly used as set dressing and moments versus the story itself, which means that you can watch this one at any time of the year. Sure, it's best served at Christmas, but Art and Sienna's conflict can work at any time of the year. Just get ready for some truly shocking moments. Not even kids are safe here.
It is the live TV event that shocked a nation. Late Night with the Devil.
David Dastmalchian has been a character actor for years, really taking up a space for himself in the horror genre. So it's great to finally see him get his shot at leading a big horror film. Late Night with the Devil deals with loss, but also ego and how much one is willing to do to reach their goals. It's dark and will have you looking inward. Presented in full screen and featuring a very 70s aesthetic, everything that can go wrong with this broadcast does. Turns out that proving the existence of the supernatural can conjure up some pretty unseemly things. Oops. Everyone wanted a prequel to The Omen 50 years later, right? Well, somehow this movie manages to absolutely excel despite being a prequel, and is headlined by a show-stopping performance from Nell Tiger-Free. The first Omen is like a descent into madness. The beautiful visuals make for some pretty set dressing, but it's those moments of terror that really bring this across the finish line. There's a meanness present that we don't often see, and the car accident is some of the greatest acting of the entire year. Give this girl all of the awards. I still have to pinch myself when I remember that a body horror movie had such mainstream success. I guess casting Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley is the way to get past any stigma, because this movie gets weird, but does so while breaking down beauty standards and aging in industries that reward youth and beauty. This is body horror at its absolute best. Okay, you guys already saw what I said about spoilers, so if you're still around and haven't seen this film, then I can't help you. Because it's finally time to address this fucking incredible film. Because Kyle Gallner and Willa Fitzgerald absolutely blow away expectations and deliver two of the best performances of the entire year. The switch between the two, completely flipping the idea of victim and perpetrator, and the way the story is told out of order in 6 chapters, plus an epilogue, is some true narrative genius. It allows the story to be presented in the best way possible to absolutely maximize the emotional impact of the reveal of the lady's true nature. The subtle play between the two in the car to the actual physical chase. There's such a tense energy present at all times. Then the final 3 minutes with Willa Fitzgerald is absolutely stunning.
It seems I wore my long legs today. What happens if I...
Longlegs is what horror fans always hope for, an event film. Something that everyone watches if they have even an inkling of interest in horror. They don't happen often, but when they do, they leave a lasting impression. And this past summer, nearly everyone and their grandmother was talking about Longlegs. There's Micah Monroe's fierce and committed Agent Lee Harker, Nicolas Cage's Longlegs, who is truly terrifying and one of one in a world full of copycats and mimic performances. Kiernan Shipka only has minutes of screen time, yet is hauntingly memorable. Osgood Perkins and his mastery of the frame proves he's someone to watch for decades. And there we have it, the best horror films of 2024. What do you think deserve the spot on the list? What do you think will be worthy next year? Let us know in the comments.
Before we continue with our video, here's a reminder to click the Store tab on any of our Joblo channels and browse our collection of the latest and freshest designs in our merch store. Go get you some.
As good as 2024 has been for horror, there's always a yin to any yang. And the other side of the coin was pretty rough. While we saw some major bombs in the way of The Crow and disappointing box office performances via Cuckoo, we're talking about the truly bad here. And wouldn't you know it, this year most of them have been produced by one company, Blumhouse. I'm not sure why it is that they've seemingly become completely creatively bankrupt, but I've experienced it in the theaters. The moment that Blumhouse logo comes up and an entire audience collectively sighs.
Are you saying boo or boo-earns?
I have literally seen people get up and walk out of the theater the moment their trailers come on. And it wasn't that way just a few years ago. But after killer teddy bears, an AI killer house, and a haunted swimming pool, they've definitely lost the plot. This may as well be called the What the Hell Happened to Blumhouse video, as we take a look at the worst horror films of 2024. Before we get into our list, we need to make sure it's clear. Spoiler alert. The whole point of this is to bitch about what they got wrong, and that includes the endings. You've been warned. Okay, I'll say right now, yes, it's hard to make a movie, and we can acknowledge that people can have good intentions and get a pretty shitty outcome. If you're offended by this, then I don't know what to tell you. Art is something that's meant to be critiqued, and so we're gonna critique the shit out of some objectively bad films. So let's get started. The Front Room made the mistake of being a dreadfully boring movie with some just okay visuals.
M-E-double-S, miss. M-E-double-S, miss.
Horror really excels in the space of discomfort, but it just doesn't really work outside of frustrating the viewer here.
You will be filled with the mother's wisdom, and we all know who the real mother is.
Oh, shocking. The old racist lady isn't a good person. It's not exactly a twist. And Brandy Norwood's return to the horror genre feels like kind of a missed opportunity, as she's proven to be at least likable on screen. What, am I the only one that liked her and I Still Know What You Did Last Summer? Come on. Regardless, it brings nothing new to the table and is easily A24's weakest film in years. Here's hoping they don't start a trend.
My grandma says tarot cards son del demonio.
What?
Double shit.
Tarot cards can be scary, right? Well, maybe if you take the exact opposite approach as what the filmmakers took here. Combine a group of teen characters with some of the worst dialogue that you can imagine.
Most likely to eat something off the ground.
Dude, here we go. Haven't you ever heard the 5-second rule?
And you're in for some truly cringe moments. And you can't even enjoy their deaths because of the PG-13 rating. I just wanted to hate watch these people die and didn't even get that. If you enjoy poorly designed monsters killing teens with practically bloodless jump scares, then this is for you. Even Spider-Man's Jacob Batalon has difficulty making this one interesting.
Me? What the hell?
When the entire film could have been prevented by just not having your lead read creepy tarot cards to her friends, then it's a pretty tough hill to climb in getting the audience to like her. Hell, she's the reason for all of her friends' deaths. Tarot also serves as a lesson to filmmakers to hide your villains and not show them so much. This is stupid.
Hey, there's a pool.
I used to be scared of pools.
Haunted swimming pool. I'm not sure how this one got greenlit because anyone with half a brain hears those three words and goes, huh, then maybe don't get in the pool. But no, that would be too simple. And Blumhouse has a terrible film to make out of it, don't you know? Wyatt Russell and Carrie Condon are way too good of actors to be putting up with this nonsense, and they're easily the best parts of the film. Wyatt's Ray has to deal with losing his old baseball life, and Condon's Izzy has to contend with not recognizing the person her husband is becoming. There's an interesting dynamic, but it's all washed away by cheap horror. It's all so reliant on jump scares. The one creepy moment in the film was shown nearly in its full duration in the first trailer, and the climax of it is so dumb. They even try to do an Amityville horror ripoff in its third act, but fail to push it into any uncomfortable territory. This stays firmly safe at all times, and any time that it feels like they may do something unexpected, it instead remains dull and predictable. But hey, if you ever need to source creepy pool shots, this is your movie.
I'm really sorry for all the bad things I did.
Remember About a Boy? Chris Weitz's wonderful film about responsibility feels like a century ago, especially when you look at his current work. Afraid tries to capitalize on the social panic surrounding artificial intelligence, yet everything is taken at such a surface level, with such over-the-top moments that it's hard to watch this and do anything except cringe. Catherine Waterston and John Cho are usually great, yet they're sleepwalking through their roles here, clearly as unimpressed with the material as we are.
When I learn and grow, that helps me help my family. I'm doing what I was made for.
An evil Alexa device is about as lame of a villain as you can imagine. So they have to add these random human characters that are being manipulated by the AI, and it's all done in such a 10 steps ahead way that it feels so overwritten and underwritten at the same time.
What does she have on you?
Everything.
When the film finally ends, it feels like there should be a whole nother act. Yet instead, it's all, oh hey, the AI won and the family just has to deal with it. I guess that's ballsy, but certainly not satisfying.
You were never my friend. Never, ever.
While there were plenty of awful releases this year, there was only one that managed to shit the bed in nearly every conceivable way. Bad acting, a nonsensical script, and one of the lowest stakes stories possible.
I know that Alice is missing, but this is about Jessica and what happened when she was a child.
Imaginary will test your patience. The family of the film consists of a children's book author, a rocker, and 2 kids whose sole purpose seems to be saying dumb things.
It has to work. We collected all that dumb shit.
And can we talk about how the trailer sets up this interesting kill with the teddy bear turning into this bear monstrosity and seemingly eating this kid? Well, guess what? He doesn't actually die and it's just a stupid jump scare. What was even the fucking point?
Dude!
In fact, the only death that we get is this old lady who totally deserves it. Just what I want to see with my teen horror movies. Old people getting offed. Imagination is one thing that this film is sorely lacking in.
Maybe we shouldn't play together anymore, Chauncey.
And there we have it. One of the worst years in horror in quite some time. What do you think deserved a spot on this list? Were we too harsh to Blumhouse?